The Menendez brothers case is one of the most infamous criminal trials in U.S. history, marked by a tragic blend of family turmoil, shocking violence, and intense legal battles. Lyle and Erik Menendez were convicted of the 1989 murders of their parents, José and Kitty Menendez, in their Beverly Hills mansion. Over the years, their case has remained a topic of widespread public fascination, not only because of the brutal nature of the crime, but also due to the brothers' claims of abuse, which added layers of complexity to their defense. Recently, new evidence has emerged that could potentially shift the narrative surrounding this case. On the evening of August 20, 1989, Lyle and Erik Menendez, then aged 21 and 18, used shotguns to brutally murder their parents in the living room of their home. José Menendez, a wealthy entertainment executive, was struck in the head, while Kitty Menendez was shot multiple times as she tried to flee. Following the murders, the brothers initially claimed to have discovered their parents' bodies upon returning home from a movie. They called 911, seemingly distraught, and for a time, the police did not suspect them of the crime. The Menendez brothers' behavior after the murders raised suspicions. They began to spend lavishly, purchasing expensive cars, watches, and going on extravagant trips, which appeared inconsistent with their grief-stricken claims. Their newfound wealth and conspicuous consumption drew the attention of investigators, who started to explore the possibility of financial motives behind the killings. Erik Menendez eventually confessed to his psychologist, Dr. L. Jerome Oziel, that he and his brother had killed their parents. This confession became a critical piece of evidence when Oziel's mistress revealed the conversations to the police. The brothers were arrested in March 1990, and the case quickly garnered national attention, becoming a media sensation due to the wealth of the family, the nature of the crime, and the dramatic courtroom revelations that were soon to follow. The Menendez brothers shocked the nation by claiming that they had killed their parents in self-defense. They alleged a long history of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse by their father, José Menendez, which they claimed drove them to a state of fear and desperation. According to the brothers, their father was a domineering and abusive figure, while their mother was mentally unstable, enabling the abuse. They argued that they believed their parents were planning to kill them to keep the abuse a secret. The defense strategy painted the brothers as victims who acted out of terror, not greed. Their lawyers depicted the abuse as the catalyst that led to the killings, arguing that the brothers' fear for their lives was genuine and justified their actions. This line of defense was controversial and divided public opinion. Many were sympathetic to the idea that the brothers had endured years of trauma, while others saw their story as a fabrication designed to justify their cold-blooded crime. The first trial ended in a mistrial, with two separate juries unable to reach a unanimous verdict. During the second trial, however, the judge limited the use of abuse testimony, which weakened the defense's case. The prosecution argued that the murders were premeditated, motivated by the brothers' desire for their parents' wealth, and painted the defendants as cold and calculating. In 1996, both Lyle and Erik Menendez were convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. They were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For decades, the Menendez brothers remained in prison with little hope of release. However, new evidence has recently come to light that could potentially alter the perception of their case. In 2023, attention was drawn to a letter written by Erik Menendez to his cousin in 1988, 1 year before the murders. In the letter, Erik described his father's sexual abuse, stating, "I've been trying to avoid Dad. It's still happening, but it's worse for me now. I can't explain it." This letter, which predates the killings, could support the brothers' claims that they acted out of fear rather than greed. The new evidence has stirred debate over whether the Menendez brothers' convictions should be re-evaluated in light of what may have been substantial abuse that could have influenced their actions. Advocates for a retrial argue that the letter, along with other testimonies about José Menendez's abusive behavior, supports the notion that the brothers acted out of self-defense and psychological distress, rather than for financial gain. Additionally, in 2023, a documentary titled Menendez plus Menudo, Boys Betrayed introduced allegations from Roy Rosselló, a former member of the boy band Menudo. Rosselló accused José Menendez of sexually assaulting him in the 1980s, when Menendez was an executive at RCA Records, which managed Menudo. These claims, if true, suggest a broader pattern of abusive behavior by José Menendez, potentially lending credibility to the brothers' allegations of suffering similar abuse at his hands. While these revelations do not directly exonerate Lyle and Erik Menendez of the murders, they do introduce significant context that was not fully considered during their trials. The idea that José Menendez had a history of abusive behavior outside his family could be crucial in understanding the dynamics within the household. The suggestion that the brothers were indeed subjected to years of suffering might shift the perception of their motivations, making the case not solely about greed but also about an attempt to escape their father's control. Critics of the new evidence argue that, while the letter and Rosselló's testimony might corroborate the abuse claims, they do not justify murder. The prosecution's stance remains that regardless of any abuse, the brothers planned the killings in cold blood, with the intent to inherit their parents' fortune. They point out that the men's behavior following the murders, their lavish spending and lack of remorse, does not align with that of individuals who acted out of fear or trauma. Legal experts have noted that while the new evidence might not lead to an outright exoneration, it could form the basis for a retrial or a reconsideration of the brothers' sentences. The case raises important questions about how allegations of abuse are handled in court, particularly when they are used as a defense. It also underscores the difficulty in balancing the acknowledgement of trauma with accountability for violent actions. As the legal system considers the implications of this new evidence, the Menendez brothers' case continues to be a stark reminder of the devastating effects of family dysfunction, the complexities of criminal defense, and the challenges of seeking justice in cases where the truth is shrouded in layers of pain, fear, and secrecy. Whether or not the new revelations will lead to any changes in their legal status, the Menendez brothers' story remains a powerful example of how deep-rooted trauma and desperation can drive individuals to commit unimaginable acts. Thank you for listening to another episode of Loopholery, your go-to podcast channel for quick, witty, and insightful takes on random topics, all in 8 minutes or less. Whether we're diving into quirky facts, exploring weird loopholes, or just pondering life's strange questions, we keep it short, fun, and engaging. Perfect for curious minds on the go. Like or subscribe, and get your fix of unpredictable knowledge bites.